Take it easy, just relax, take a beer and down it.
It's already gone off the rails. This panel's just gonna be people shouting characters at you and you doing the voices.
It's very similar to my home life.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get started there. All right, but we're gonna stop that right now.
Don't call out random cookies, though. I can't help you there. Oreos. Sorry, right.
You as mentioned, you have done, since season 1, 35 years, over 150 characters, including a lot of the kind of fan favorite, most popular characters, all the way to the background characters, the weird, wonderful background characters. What's maybe the weirdest or most obscure kind of deep cut character that you really love doing?
Well, in your intro, I forgot that I did Jesus Christ and Hitler.
Yeah.
That should go on my resume. You can't get more rangy than that. Yeah, I think the tall guy. There's a character called the tall guy.
Tall guy, yeah.
And he talks like this. That might be. They bring him back every once in a while just because I think they can't believe they wrote it.
Yeah.
And it's so weird.
The tall guy had one fan here tonight. One guy clapped for tall guy.
Thanks for remembering the tall guy.
And it was a short guy. That's weird. I went through all. Don't ever claim I don't do my research. I went through all 150 of your characters on Simpsonspedia. Here's a few of my favorite deep cuts. Disco Shrew, Disco Stew's animal alter ego from Treehouse of Horror.
No recollection of that.
In case you didn't know, Disco Stew's full name, anybody? Stuart Discotheque. That is his God-given name.
No recollection of that.
Senor Spielbergio, which is probably the character I reference the most in my life.
Senor Spielbergio?
Yeah,
Who is that?
Senor Spielbergio. It was in the film festival episode. He was Steven Spielberg's kind of Hispanic alter ego.
See, because we don't. I mean, I've been doing this so long that I've forgotten a lot of things anyway. But we don't memorize these because we don't have to. I'm just reading them, so they really fly out of my head. I mean, we've done over 800 episodes, so I have genuinely no recollection.
That's what we're here for. You also did Mr. Sparkle, which I had no idea. I was thrilled.
That I do remember.
Sparkle. And then
there's a long story. There's a weird story why I remember that character.
Tell us.
Because a girl I dated in New York a long time ago, her dog was named Mr. Sparkle, and she used to get. She enjoyed a beverage to the point where often she was too passed out to bring the dog out, so I would have to be walking Mr. Sparkle through the streets of Queens because she was incapable of it, and that's the reason I remember playing Mr. Sparkle, because of that dog.
Speaking of dogs, you also at one point, you were one of 3 people alongside Dan who provided the voice for Santa's Little Helper at one point, or I should say the sound effects, the noises.
Don't remember that either.
Okay, all right. And then I think my favorite, Ralph's Science Project Robot, CHUM, C-H-U-M, which stands for Childlike Humanoid Urban Muchacho. Do you remember that one?
No. It probably sounded like this, though.
Nailed it, yeah. You've also done the voices for, obviously it's a real claim to fame for a celebrity to come on The Simpsons and do their own voice, but not every celebrity that's appeared on The Simpsons has been the real celebrity's voice. You have provided voices for a lot of celebrities. Have you ever had a weird interaction with the celebrity that you did their voice on The Simpsons?
Yeah.
And you can tell us, yeah.
That's the hard part. Well, yeah, this is a good one. So I get really, I love seeing movie stars. That's not lost on me. I still get excited. But I really freak out seeing athletes and rock stars. And so we had a lot of rock stars on the show. We had Mick and Keith from the Stones. And, excuse me, I just had lunch and I'm a little burpy, sorry. They're very nerdy at The Simpsons, which probably isn't a shock. The writers are very writerly, and they often will send me to be those sort of a liaison when talent comes, because they're sort of too shy and embarrassed. So we're recording with Mick Jagger on a Saturday, and I'm waiting, for his car to come, and he comes, and he gets out of the car, and I say, hey, Mick, we're really excited to have you here. I'm Hank Azaria. I'm with the show. And he blows right past me, and he goes, yeah, great, we'll get it. And I realize this is now really awkward because I have to now go upstairs and record with him. I was recording home with him. And so it's going to be weird because I think he just thought I was like the production assistant reading him. So I didn't know what to do, so in a panic I just imitated him. I went, oh no Mick, I don't think we'll get it, I'm just happy you're here. And he looked at me like, are you out of your mind? And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm going to be recording with you, let me just show you where to go. So that's one little weird interaction. So it's weird, that's like when I panic I tend to imitate, that's what I go to. Michael Jackson, he did record with us as well, in the early days of the show. And here was a crazy thing. It's the only table read, before we record, we read them around a table at first, thus the name table read, so that the writers could hear it and they rewrite based on how that went. And it's the only, for some reason, it's the only table read we ever did away from Fox. We went to Michael Jackson's manager's house, Sandy Gallen's house, beautiful mansion up in the Hollywood Hills. And Michael was there. And remember he sings that little song to Lisa, if you're a fan of the show, Lisa, it's your birthday, happy birthday, Lisa. He wrote that song, but he didn't sing it. There was this young white kid who sounded like of Michael singing, and he sang the song. And none of us could get up the nerve to ask, why are you having some white kid who sounds exactly like you singing it? He also, again, they kind of put me like I was recording right next to Michael. And he said to me, he leaned over before we started recording, he said, so how do we do this? How does it work? What's going to happen? It's like, oh, it's easy, you just say your dialogue, and it'll probably be weird at first, but we do a bunch of takes. And most movie stars and rock stars, when they come, they're very nervous at first because they think they don't know they think they have to do something special for recording animation. Then within 2 takes, they realize it's the easiest job in the world. But yeah, so there's a couple of little stories.
It's funny too because the mythology of that is that the urban legend is that Michael Jackson owned the rights to the actual birthday song, and that's why restaurants can't sing the actual classic Happy Birthday song. They have to sing their own version of the Happy Birthday song.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Could be true.
Yeah, could be true. We'll just say it's true. And this is kind of a crossover question. You were amazing in Heat, one of my all-time favorite films.
Oh, thanks.
You had some intense scenes. You got full Pacino'd, as we'll say.
I had some scenes where
Yeah. So I heard that you based your voice, the voice of Mo, on Pacino. Is that true?
Well, yes, but I was a big fan of young, old Al. Sounds like this.
Yeah.
Great eyes. Young Al Pacino, Godfather Al, Dog Day Afternoon Al, is higher pitched. I'm dying here. Everybody's coming down on me here. That was Al. So I was doing a play in Los Angeles. I'm 23. Using the Al Pacino voice. I'm playing a drug dealer. And I auditioned for Mo, the bartender on The Simpsons, and I did this voice. And they said, can you make it gravelly? Now I also do a Bruce Springsteen impression, which I've done since I was a teenager. Both of these are heroes of mine. So if you take Al Pacino on one end, and Bruce Springsteen on the other, right in the middle there is Mo the bartender. Yeah, you gotta mix the voices up in a laboratory.
And you also have taken a lot of inspiration from just people in your life. Have you had any kind of...
Yeah, you'll make a voice on the show next week.
I literally will retire, if that's true. Have you had any friends or family say, hey, I was watching The Simpsons and that voice sounded particularly familiar?
No, but comic book guy is based on the kid I lived next door to freshman year at Tufts University. Oh, a snake is a dude also from college. He would take drugs and would knock on my dorm room door and tell me how the drug experience was going. He would say, hey, Cliff, how you doing? He'd go, yo, I just dropped some acid, and it's like I'm seeing colors, like I'm totally seeing colors. I'm like, okay, are you all right? Like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, okay, see ya. And like half an hour later, he'd knock again. Yeah, Cliff. Yeah, like when I wave my hand in front of my face, there's like an after image now. So that became Snake on The Simpsons. Oh, I don't know if you remember Mad About You. Did you guys ever? That was based on one of the doormen in my building growing up, who actually saw it and said, I saw you on Mad About You. That's a crazy character. Where'd you get the idea for that? I did not have the nerve to tell him that it was him. So yeah, but usually people don't know.
It struck me as you're doing comic book guy. I was like, that's half of the people that we interact with here.
I am among my brethren here.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I want to move on to your kind of live action acting roles. Mystery Men is obviously another fan favorite here at Comic-Con. Like that movie, as the Blue Raja.
Yes, Blue Raja.
That movie was so ahead of its time, and of course has found its audience and created a cult following because the genre of superhero movies and comic book movies, if you will, has caught up to kind of what Mystery Men. Mystery Men was kind of commenting on the genre before there was a genre to comment on. What's your kind of perspective now, looking back and seeing how that movie has become embraced by the kind of pop culture community?
It is nice, you know. A lot of the projects I've done in my career, and this is not a complaint. I'm very grateful for my career, and I am the luckiest man, maybe not just in show business, but in the world, to have gotten a Simpsons gig, a job that will be 40 years, and you know, it's very cool. Yeah. But a lot of the stuff I've done could be called a cult hit, which is Hollywood speak for a really good thing that was really well reviewed that nobody watches. And that's including Brockmire. Same deal there. Thank you for actually watching. But Mystery Men was a very hard shoot. It was a real pain in the ass to do it. It was the early days of CGI. So it was very painstaking. Now it's very easy to do that. They just make it in the computer, and it's very user-friendly for an actor. Back then, you had to make sure your head was in the right position, and you got to do it the exact same way 19 times. And the director was a really creative guy, but he had mostly done commercials, and he had never really done a Hollywood movie before, and it kind of showed. It was a tedious shoot that should have been much more fun than it was.
Grosse Point Blank is another movie I would put. Yeah, it's a great movie. Just wanted to shout that out because it's another movie you're in that has become kind of a cult hit and felt ahead of its time.
Yeah, that's really was Cusack and George Armitage really had a vision for that.
Yeah, the music and everything is so great in the movie. Yeah, and you're great in the movie.
John picked Cusack, he personally picked all the music for that movie.
Yeah, it's so awesome. All right, so we kind of have a new format this year where in order to kind of fit more fan questions in, majority of the panels this weekend, we have had you submit your questions ahead of time. And so I have some fan questions now that we'll read off. Lucas from Allen. Lucas, are you here? No. Lucas submitted a question, didn't even bother to come to the panel. You're okay. You'll be Lucas. You'll be standing. You voiced so many iconic characters on The Simpsons. Is it possible to pick a favorite, or if not, maybe one that's the trickiest to do?
Mulder's my favorite to do, because he's from Queens, like I'm from Queens. At least in my mind, he is. And I feel that he's almost like an alter ego. Oh, he's like, if my life didn't work out and I was just filled with hate, I'd be home.
You find yourself kind of slipping into him at random times?
No, that would be bad news for everybody if I did.
Yeah.
Duff Man is the hardest to do. Duff Man I have to save for last, because if I do too much Duff Man, I can't do Wiggum afterward, because I can't achieve the voice.
How you go in and out of them sitting up on the stage is so crazy. Chloe from Dallas. Chloe also didn't show up to the panel. All right, you'll be Chloe. All right. You have worked in live action, animation, stage, and now even podcasts. Which medium feels the most natural for your creativity?
I guess like animation or
Yeah.
I'm a voice guy at heart. I'm mimic first.
Yeah.
And so that probably feels the most natural to me. Being on stage and on film, really I had to learn like it. And I didn't like it at first. It made me very nervous.
Yeah.
So I'm more at home just doing voices.
It's interesting because all actors get to be different people, but in animation, you really get to be a different person without the having to kind of be vulnerable in that way and put yourself out there.
Yeah, you can just hide
Yeah.
behind. But that said, you have to really act it. I didn't really like when my first week working on The Simpsons, watching Dan Castellaneta and Harry Shearer, and how committed they were physically at the mic. They seemed crazy to me. I'm like, why are you guys jumping around like this? No one can see you. They're like, you kind of have to commit to it in order to give a real vocal performance. So, but but in a way, that's like more embarrassing than, acting in front of people. So you really can't, you have to really commit to it.
How did you, going all the way back to maybe being a kid and doing faces and voices in the mirror, how did, there's a lot of kind of budding voice actors, especially here in Dallas, because we have Crunchyroll here, we have a big anime voice acting community. How did you discover you could even do this? Was it just kind of being a kid and playing around with it?
Yeah, as long as I can remember, I would mimic. My first heroes, I was raised by the television. I just finished a script of a one-man show that I'll be doing on Broadway this year. That's about all this, sort of the lighter side of how all this happened, and kind of thank you. Well, great to see it first. It'll probably be cultic. It'll be very well reviewed. 9 people will see it. But the lighter side of it is, I really was raised by the TV back. My grandmother, my mama said, who talked like this, hello honey, who she became the old Jewish man on The Simpsons.
Wow.
She got me a television that my parents in their infinite wisdom put in my room with me when I was 5. So I would watch Johnny Carson every night, 11:30. And since I was 5 years old, which was weird, but the Warner Brothers cartoons, in particular Bugs Bunny Doc, and Elmo Fudd, and, Sylvester the Cat, all those were my heroes growing up, and I would imitate them, and I stole my parents' tape recorder, those old kinds where you had to press the 2 buttons at once, very hard, especially if you're 6. And I'd record them, and it's really weird looking back on it. I'd listen back, I was like, it's like I already had the job. I was like, I'd listen back and work on the impression, try to make it sound more like Bugs Bunny or Sylvester. And then when I was about 12 or 13, I realized that those were all one guy. Mel Blanc was doing all those voices, and then he became my hero.
Yeah.
And then along with Pacino and Springsteen, anytime I idolized someone, which was a lot, for some reason, I expressed my love for them by trying to imitate them.
Wow.
And that's how the voices really developed.
That's so cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks so much.
Jackson from Cedar Park, if you could create an entirely new Simpsons character today, what kind of personality or voice would you give them? I'm assuming you get to do this all the time.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, I ran out of voices like 15, 20 years ago. I'm tapped out. Like every sound I can make has been used on the show. I mean, a friend of mine's father, his name was Vinny, and he talked like this. And we used to love imitating this guy growing up. And I've always tried to find a spot for him whenever I do this voice, they go, it's too low energy, we can't. Yeah, but that's the point of the guy, he was really laid back. So I'd like to find a role for him. But other than that, I think I'm tapped out.
I think I just realized the reason you're doing conventions is just so you can kind of mass meet people and collect new voices to rip off The Simpsons.
I'm now, I think I really am tapped out in that way too. It's like,
You've heard all the
plus
voices.
now I'm old and I can't remember anything anymore.
You mentioned Duffman, but Emily from Austin asked, are there any accents that you had to practice extra hard to master?
Some are harder than others.
Yeah.
Claude from Lockepoli, you see this film, Claude? Lockepoli, Léon, Ben Stiller. French accent took me 2-3 months, working really hard.
Wow.
Did not come natural to me. I did a Polish accent for the TV movie, that was hard to do the Polish. There's like, you ever learn an accent, there's rules to all of it. And A sounds like this, and E sounds like that, and CH sounds like that. You like memorize it all, like sort of learning a language, and then you have to get it so that it's like muscle memory, so you can forget it when you're performing. And some are easier than others.
You always hear actors say that a South African accent is the hardest accent to do.
It is hard. It's too close to British or Australian.
Yeah.
South African, yeah.
Yeah.
So I do a parody of it, really.
Yeah, you made it. Yeah. Trevor from League City. We got a Birdcage question. Do we have any Birdcage fans?
By the way, his voice with the Birdcage is an impression, really a pretty good mimicry of my other grandmother, my mother's mother, my grandma Esther. She sounded like this. And it was a good basis for the character.
Yeah.
She was maternal and loving and sweet, but very excitable.
It's just such an all-timer as a movie, such a classic, and we see it a lot this time of year. It kind of comes back in theaters because of Pride, and it was early for representation in film, and it's such an iconic film for so many reasons. But I can't even imagine I got through one scene on that movie with Nathan and Robin. Do you have a particular funniest moment for you personally while filming that movie? I mean, I bet there are millions.
Yeah, there are a lot. Mike Nichols directed that film, great Mike Nichols. Mike talked like this, called me dear boy. Hello, dear boy. And Mike was such a great audience. He would laugh a lot during the takes, which he would ruin them then. So you were thrilled that you made the great Mike Nichols laugh, but you were bummed because I ruined my best takes. So they had to move Mike farther and farther away from the set. And finally they had him at the other end of the studio with a blanket over him. Because he would laugh so hard at takes, which was sort of a good problem to have. But like really sometimes you do a great take and then you hear this line like, Mike, I'll never do it that well again,
Yeah, it's just such a beautiful film. Evan from the Woodlands, if you could have dinner with any one of the characters you've ever voiced or played, who would it be and why? It's a fun question.
This is a deep cut, but...
Adolf Hitler.
Yeah. Well, I think you gotta go with Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a good dinner.
Yeah, that'd be a good dinner. Yeah.
So many questions. Frank Grimes, I don't think I want to...
Run out of wine.
I know all about Frank Grimes. I played a character named Mark Blitzstein, who was a real guy in a movie called Cradle of Rock, very deep cut. But he was a real composer from the 1920s. And I would like to ask him about what theater was really like back then.
Yeah.
And that just came to mind.
Yeah, that's great. Ava from Dallas, what's one weird or unexpected place you've ever been recognized just by your voice?
I don't often get recognized by my voice because it's not like I walk around talking like, oh.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, I'll just be talking normally somewhere and someone's head will whip around and say, oh, I thought that was you. I think it's because so often on The Simpsons, I've just done my own voice.
Yeah.
So I think people recognize it sometimes.
Yeah. Isabel from Dallas, looking back at your career, we've talked about cult hits. Is there a role, voice, or live action role that you think deserves a little more love from fans?
Almost all of them. I'm not kidding about the cult hit thing. I wish that Brockmire would have found more of an audience. It wasn't really, I mean, there's not like, they're all good, but like Mystery Men, I kind of see the flaws in it. It's a good film, it's a fun film. Same with like Godzilla. You know, it's like, yeah, you know, it was good. It deserved better than it got, probably. But I understand why it didn't, you know, catch fire.
Godzilla
Brian Ryan deserved better than it got.
Yeah.
It's a really funny show.
Yeah, Godzilla, or as some fans know it now, Zilla. Do you know this?
I did not know that.
So, that Godzilla has now been worked into the kind of official Toho Godzilla mythology, but they don't acknowledge it as Godzilla. It's more of a dinosaur that they just call Zilla. Is that correct?
Oh, is that because it broke too many Godzilla rules or something?
And it didn't kind of look enough like Godzilla, and it was Americanized, but
Right.
fans have really, another cult hit, have lifted it up, and they've merchandised it and made...
Yeah, it's made it, like I just put out, I think it was its anniversary, and I put out, you know, on Instagram saying, this is known as the worst Godzilla movie ever made. So, you know, you're welcome. And I got every comment out of hundreds was, I love this movie. I think if you grew up with certain films,
Yeah.
you just love them. Because when you're 11, you're not just, you know, you just love the movie.
You don't know movies can be bad.
You don't realize
yeah.
it, yeah.
I mean, I was born in '84. This was post Jurassic Park. We had, you know, Jurassic Park, and then we had Godzilla. Like, it was an embarrassment of riches if you were 11. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, I feel the same way about a lot of stuff I grew up with.
Yeah.
When I look back on it now, it's like, oh, that's pretty bad, actually.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
Yeah.
Sorry? Would that be you, sir? Sure, give us your perspective.
It's a good monster movie. It's a really good monster movie. It's not a good Godzilla movie. But you're great.
All right, well, thank you. I'm sitting here.
It was also funny because there were certain people, I don't know who these people were, that were mad at the last Godzilla movie because they made Godzilla neon pink. They were like,
Oh, I've been getting into those lately. I don't know why. I like these comics.
no, I did, yeah.
Right.
But they were like, it's woke Godzilla. They made him neon pink, and I was like, you've never seen.
Why would that be woke? Why is it woke if he's pink? Because he's like rainbow or something?
I don't know, but I was like, you've
I just
never.
thought it was cool that he glowed. Do we have to read into everything these days? The guy glowed.
Like, you've obviously never seen the Azaria Godzilla and how that works with that Godzilla having babies. But anyway, that's nerdy. Sam from Austin.
Again, another thing I don't remember, whatever you just referenced.
I'll explain to you backstage. Sam in Austin, Brockmire question. You showed such a wild, over-the-top character, but kept him human underneath. How did you find the balance between comedy and heart?
That was hard, actually, on Brockmire, because I had that idea since I was about 15. Another one of my heroes were those baseball announcers. I loved sports, but I even more loved the men who delivered the sports to you, the guys who, for some reason, always seemed to talk like this in the 1970s. And they were like my uncle. I loved them, and I always wondered from when I was 15, do they always sound like this? Like, do they go home and say, honey, what is for dinner? You know, do they have sex? Do they dirty talk like that? And we even put that in Brockmire. And Julia James slips the fastball sign into Brockmire's keister and like that, right?
We're like Harry Carey at home, yeah.
Harry Carey's a different thing, thanks to Will Ferrell. But the guy who wrote Brockmire, Joel Church Cooper, who I just collaborated with on the one-man show, he wrote this really gritty, raw, emotional tale of drunkenness and sobriety and a real relationship. And it was really hard to do these intimate scenes talking like this, you know. And it was, Amanda Peet was my co-star on that. She's such a good actor that she would you know, I really felt like I had to really deal with Amanda emotionally because she was bringing it. But I was so handicapped because we'd have these relationship conversations, but I had to talk like Brockmire. So I sound like I'm, you know, talking about a baseball game, but I'm talking about So it was hard, actually.
Yeah. So we got about 10 minutes left. Those are all the fan questions. Thank you so much, whether you were here or not. Yeah, round of applause for our fan questions. I have a couple of questions to take us out. So it is, of course, the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future. We have what is one of the largest cast and crew reunions assembled. So I want to take you back in memory lane. It was one of your third acting gigs ever. November 6, 1988, Season 7, Episode 2, Family Ties.
Yeah, I remember that. This one I remember.
Designing Women was the episode title, and you played a character named Joe. What was your kind of, because Michael J. Fox talked a lot about Family Ties last night, what was your kind of memory of that episode?
It was one of my first jobs in television. I had a few lines. I was a huge fan of the show, and I was still like freaking out to be there. And in the episode, Mallory, she's working for a fashion designer and she has a design stolen.
Yeah.
And she's really upset
Yeah.
by the woman she's working for. And I was impressed by how hard they worked to get the script right. It was rewritten every day. I really learned a lot that week about the process, and everyone chimed in. Gary David Goldberg, who ran that show, he was kind of best idea wins. Some people are more tyrannical about the way they run a set or run a show. I remember it was really interesting because Justine Bateman, who played Mallory, she was having a hard time with the episode because she was like, I wouldn't forgive this person who stole my design like that. I wouldn't get over it. Because in the episode she did. She sort of was like, I'm going to let it go. And Gary David Goldberg told this fascinating story that I never forgot. He said that when he was a young writer in television comedy, it happened to him. He wrote a script, and the showrunner, his boss, just stole it.
Wow.
Stole it, put his own name on it. And he was really upset, as you might imagine. And then in the end, there was nothing he could do about it, much like Mallory was facing in that episode.
Yeah.
And he said to himself, you know, I guess, in a way, it's flattery, right? I guess I'm good enough to be a professional because some big professional just stole my work and put his name on it.
Yeah.
And then he also said to himself, well, if that's really the only script I can write, then I don't really deserve a career anyway. If I don't have any more to back that up, then I'm kind of done anyway.
Yeah.
So that's what he kind of told, and that's what Justine, it kind of enabled her to understand and how to play it.
Did you get to have any interaction with Michael at all?
Very brief.
Yeah.
I had done a movie with an independent film with Woody Harrelson. I had no scenes with Michael, but I kind of idolized him.
Yeah.
He was a huge star. He's still so great.
Yeah.
And I'd done a movie with Woody Harrelson, a little indie film. And Woody and Michael were really good friends. And Woody kept saying to me, did you say hi to Michael? Did you say hi? I was like, no, I don't bother him. It's like, no. Say hi to Michael. Tell him I said hi. And so finally, I was so nervous. I think I called him Mr. Fox. You know? I was like, oh, Mr. Fox, I did a movie with Woody Harrelson, and you know, I just want to introduce myself. And Michael just went, yeah, I'll tell Woody you say hi. And he just kind of, I was like, no, well, never mind. Nice to meet you. And then I always remembered that too, because I still get nervous. Like a thing like this, when people are really nervous to be me. And I know what that feels like, because I still get that way. You know, going up to folks that I like.
You should go up to Michael's table and say, Mr. Fox, I did a movie with Woody Harrelson one time, but do it today.
Oh, I might do that today. I ended up knowing Mike after that.
Yeah.
And I actually auditioned for him for a movie he was directing, and I really made him laugh a lot. He's a very nice guy. He just, was busy that day.
Man, you want to talk about voices, one of the all-time kind of unique, great voices. Yeah, just so great. And you still got it, Well, thank you I know that was a deep cut. I have one question to take us out. Obviously, now that The Simpsons has been on for 35 years, it's one of the longest running continuous TV series. The big thing around it is how much it has fortunately and unfortunately predicted the future. Speaking of Back to the Future, what is your kind of read on that and how present it's been in predicting some stuff that's come true.
I've actually thought a lot about this because I've asked a lot about it. The show is social satire. So sort of, a lot of the job of the show is to go with the comic premise of, well, if society continues this way, here's the absurd or likely end of that road. Like, here's where we're headed if we keep doing this, you know? And so, in a way, I mean, it's been 800 episodes. It sort of makes 3 or 4 predictions an episode-ish, not all the time. So if you do that math, we've made about, 2,400 predictions.
Gonna get some right.
And like 12 have come true. So granted, they're, really kind of extraordinary, some of the things they predicted.
Yeah, some oddly specific, but yeah.
Yes, but again, it's a volume business, And also, I think it does speak to how brilliant the writers are.
Yeah.
Because they really are kind of seeing the truth about things, and sometimes that kind of comes out in these predictions.
Yeah. Yeah, if you play the same lottery numbers, you're gonna get a few right every once in a while.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the most famous one was predicting that Trump would be president. And I remember, they were really the premise of that was, this society worships reality stars so hard, that one day one of them's gonna be elected president. They just happen to get Trump exactly right.
Yeah.
But they could have said Jeff Probst, they could have said anybody. Going for what then?
Considering it feels like we're all a little bit on Survivor these days, Jeff Probst might have been appropriate.
I mean, if the guy ran